How's it going, everyone? So today we're going to be installing the front grille chrome delete on this 2015 Acura. This is a very simple installation and I'm going to be showing you how to install it. So this is how it looked before and this is how it looks after. And if you like this product, the link for the product will be down in the description below. But with that being said, let's get started with today's video. Before we begin, we want to make sure we have a clean area we're working with. We want to make sure that the car is free from any dirt or debris. That way the vinyl has better adhesion. I'm just going to show you how that is or how that looks like. And we want to make sure we get any cracks and crevices. We want to go all the way inside. Okay, so we're gonna begin with the first piece. This piece is pretty simple. All we're gonna do is we're gonna align and then we're gonna make sure that all the chrome is covered. Once we have that, we're gonna tuck in any excess material. And in the case we do have excess material, we're just gonna grab our blade and we're gonna trim along it. After that, we're gonna post heat. So I'll show you what that looks like. Just gonna grab our piece. And all I'm doing right here is I'm just aligning it, making sure the vinyl covers all the chrome. And right here, I'm just aligning it through the top. All right, I have it aligned. Now my next step is to just tuck in any excess material. To be able to maneuver the vinyl better, I'm just gonna grab my heat gun. I'm gonna heat it a little bit and then I'm just gonna start tucking in. So the next step to do is we're just gonna trim the excess here and we're gonna do this carefully. All right, after we finish trimming the excess material, this is our finished product. So we're just gonna move on to the front grille. So for the front grille installation, I'm gonna be showing you how to install it on one side. But keep in mind, whatever we do to one side, we're gonna repeat it on the other side. And so we're just gonna take it on the driver's side first, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm just gonna begin with the first piece. Now the first piece, I'm gonna align it right here, right at the middle where you see the crease. So that's where I'm gonna begin, and I'm gonna just make sure I follow the chrome and make sure all the chrome is covered, that there's no chrome showing. So let's get started. So for this piece, we're gonna begin right here at the corner. So I'm just gonna align it, make sure I have full coverage. Now that I have it aligned, I'm just gonna grab my squeegee and I'll make sure I squeegee out any air bubbles. And I'm just gonna take my time with this. Now on this curved piece, one tip I do recommend is just to grab a heat gun and add a little bit of heat. That way the vinyl is a little more malleable and you can work with it better. So let's go ahead and do that. And like I mentioned, if you do have any excess material, we're gonna go ahead and grab our blade and we're carefully just gonna trim the excess off. Once we're done with that, we're just gonna move on to the top piece. Okay, so we're just gonna grab our piece and first we're gonna align it right here at the corner and we're gonna make sure everything is covered. And if it isn't covered, we could always just lift it back up and reposition. Okay, and how I mentioned, we're just gonna be repeating the same steps. So we're just gonna tuck any excess material, and if we still have any excess material, we're just gonna grab our blade and we're gonna trim it. And for this corner, we could grab our heat gun and we could just apply heat so it could be a little bit easier to work with. So now that that's done, I'm just gonna trim off the excess material over here and the excess material on top. All right, and like I mentioned, last step is just post heat. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now we're gonna move on to this middle piece. This is gonna be 2 pieces. So we're gonna have one facing in the front and then we're gonna have one facing on top. So we're gonna start with the one facing right in front of you. So let's begin. I'm gonna grab our piece. And with this one, we're gonna begin where the badge is at. That way we have full coverage. I'm gonna begin right here, like I mentioned, aligning it and making sure that I have full coverage. So like I mentioned, we're gonna begin up here. And you do wanna give yourself a little bit of excess material. That way you're able to tuck in. And once you tuck in, you're not gonna have any chrome showing. And we wanna make sure that the vinyl doesn't reach below it. We wanna make sure it reaches in the middle or just barely past it. Now that we have it in place, we're gonna align it going right here towards the top. So we're just gonna work our way. And if you need to reposition it, let's go ahead and do that. So right here, I give myself a little bit excess material and making sure that over here at the edge is still covered. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my squeegee, and again, I'm just gonna make sure all the excess bubbles are eliminated. And I'm gonna do the same thing towards the bottom. Now for this one, because we are gonna tuck a little bit further in, I'm just gonna grab my heat and we're gonna heat it up. That way the vinyl is a lot easier to work with. Now my next step is to get rid of any excess material, and for this one I am going to be very careful. I want to make sure I have everything tucked in, because again, like I mentioned, we want to make sure all the chrome is covered. In the case we don't have everything tucked in properly, we are going to have some chrome showing once we cut it. So now we're just going to trim the excess material. We're going to grab our heat gun and we're going to post heat. And now we're gonna continue with the top piece. So let's grab our piece for the top. And again, I'm just gonna align right here at the middle. Okay, so that pretty much concludes the installation for the front grille. Like I mentioned, whatever we do to one side, we're gonna do to the other side. Keep in mind that after the installation, once you're done, we're just gonna post heat everything again to make sure that the vinyl sets. And after you finish the other side, you're pretty much done. So with that, that concludes the installation for the front grille chrome delete kit. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment down below. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching and we'll see you on the next video.